must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Way back in 1998, the late Secretary General of the United Nations by name Kofi Annan thought of an idea, brought an idea of saying the only way to bring world order where crimes committed that are not punishable in local courts, local countries, regional courts could be taken to an international crimes court. The Rome Statute and Rome Treaty of 1998 July was an offspring of already cooked DSGE intelligence system mechanism to keep Africa under check. Up to date, the French government pays 70% of the salaries of the International Criminal Court, from the porter to the judge, to the prosecutor, and the rest of the other people. This was a project of Kofi Annan and the Kofi Annan Foundation, followed by George Soros as an accomplice of Kofi Annan, brought in by Luis Moreno Campo and the entire system of the West, some countries in the West, to keep check on African countries that did not agree with the policies of the French and to their policies of Western culture. The International Criminal Court Chief Prosecutor Luis Moreno Campo agreed in all this that yes, he has been picking money, extra monies, and we followed the story together with my group in France, powerful investigators in France who worked together with me, and we found out that, truly speaking, Luis Moreno Campo, Fernandez Gomedi, the former judge, the president of the International Criminal Court, laundered money, some coming from American banks themselves. This evidence was put in the ICC. In the case of Bashir versus the chief prosecutor, I filed an application which I still have and which I'm going to publicize again so that people can know that I was right. I've been vindicated because the American friends now have found that my credibility is real, that I was right when I stood up to say this court is corrupt. This court launders money, $17 million of United States money, laundered through Bahamas, through New York banks, back to Ocampo's personal assistant, by then called Fernandez Gomedi Silvia, who later on rose to the ranks of becoming the president of International Criminal Court. It has taken us time, energy, effort, resources to investigate the corruption scandal that have rocked the International Criminal Court. Why should African countries continue to be in the ICC, yet even the superpowers like America are saying no, we have enough courts to try our own people? Viewers, it has taken Americans over 20 years to listen to our voices when we told Rainburger in Nairobi that this court is a corrupt court.
Today, on the eve of September the 11th, I want to deliver a clear and unambiguous message on behalf of the President of the United States. The United States will use any means necessary to protect our citizens and those of our allies from unjust prosecution by this illegitimate court. We will not cooperate with the ICC. We will provide no assistance to the ICC, and we certainly will not join the ICC. We will let the ICC die on its own. After all, for all intents and purposes, the ICC is already dead to us.
A case of the Kenyan people. These cases in Kenya, the chief prosecutor called Fatou Bensouda put serious statements at the end of the cases, discharge and termination. In legal language, these cases pose a very serious threat in the future. What the people of Kenya can do, and they should do, is today to wrap up the work envelope. Because until this envelope is sealed, thrown in Indian Ocean, the chief prosecutor in the future will come and look for that envelope, use it to incriminate people again. It brings me back to the situation. America is sealing its journey out of the ICC. Why do you wait? Why don't you take this opportunity to seal your journeys out of the ICC? America is quitting, warning that it cannot no longer be a party to such an obnoxious court, a court that has no powers, that talks from this side and vomits from the other side, a court that cuts and pastes evidence, a court that buys witnesses, a court that incites incentives, gives incentives to witnesses of a passport and a relocation, then you tell lies about people. A court that sentences you as per the words there. Why should you leave a country that has a jury that checks on what the judges would do, the excesses of judges, and go to a country, a court that has no jury? Time has come for Africa to think. Do we need this court? Does Africa need this court?
The International Court of Justice is a court that was created to solve problems of disputes of any nature. But this court was created on the basis that times could change and the constitutionalism and the mandate could also change. The International Court of Justice has never changed. In this court, there is no chamber for appeal. There is no chamber for amicus curiae, for people to bring in their opinions in terms of individuals or organizations that are hurt in one way or the other, or good opinions that could shape the outcome of the findings or the cases filed there. This court, therefore, remains one of the most obnoxious, one of the most opaque institutions whose findings we don't know who decides and how the decisions are taken, how stakeholders are supposed to recourse to a remedy, where to get a remedy, we don't know. A court has no chambers, no lower chamber, no upper chamber for appeal. It has itself as a final court of jurisdiction around the world. Are the people of the world waiting to say Is Somalia and Kenya going into this court, seeing the obstacles that they will cause for the region? Those are the questions I ask. And I want my viewers and those listening to this tape to understand that Africa needs to solve the problem in an African way. There is no other way to solve the problem of Somalia and Kenya amicably than sitting on a table to have a discussion, find ways of resolving the conflict that has brought us to not talking terms. But Somalia seemed to be pushed by external darker forces to go and dismember the unity that we have in the Great Lakes region and the Horn of Africa. ICJ as a court is an institution that is very opaque, very dark in its sense of darkness, that you don't know how decisions are made. There is no counter checks and balances in the decision making. I therefore urge Somalia and Kenya not to attend this court. I urge Somalia and Kenya to avoid this court for the sake of peace in the Indian Ocean. I also have called upon the countries that are supporting Somalia to take the case, to withdraw their support for the sake of security, because we have only one common enemy. The enemy are the terrorists killing the innocent Somalis who need our help to be liberated from these fighters who have come and gathered in the great once country, or the PAL, one of the Pan-African countries in Africa. Thank you very much, viewers. That is my message to the world. Let's spread it. The International Court of Justice is opaque. It doesn't have appeal chamber. It doesn't have preparation chamber. It doesn't have any. Once the decision is made, the decision is final. Do we need that? We call that democratic. I leave it to you. Thank you. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi. Wherever you are, the weather here is windy. Wind is blowing, and the meteorological department have said you must take caution. And we expect a lot of wind blowing all over the country from the Indian Ocean and from other, due to warming, global warming, and other reasons that always befall Africa. Viewers, wherever you are, this is a new show. It will be appearing 8 o'clock on Tuesday, all the time. This show is called Diplomatic Leaks. In this show, we shall endeavor to show you what is good from the diplomatic angle, what comes out of the diplomatic angle, the failures of diplomatic angle, the failures of diplomacy in Africa, what has killed Africa. Is there anything called diplomacy or internationalism? Or it is international interests that have always killed Africa? Viewers, thank you very much. I am the host of this program, Dr. David Nyekorach Matsanga, son of soil, also the founder of Punchline Africa TV, the only digital television online in East and Central Africa. We boast, we shall say it, and we boost the economy of these countries. We accept anything. We defend this country. We defend Africa. We defend anything. Pan-Africanism is our goal. Viewers, thank you very much. Today's topic is very important, very crucial to the people of East Africa. The topic is crucial to the people of East Africa in the sense that we have two neighbors that are not agreeing on what can be done. But what is pushing one of the neighbors to do what they are doing today? Who has pushed Somalia to go to the ICJ and refuse to go to Addis Ababa? Those are the cardinal questions that I'm going to put on the floor. But before I do that, I'll give you a brief history of how Somalia ended where it is today. Because it is very important, crucial for the people of Africa to understand why Somalia is in a state of quagmire, why Somalia is a failed state. Who made it to fail? Who first came there, tried to change things, ran away, and left us to fight the terrorists that we are fighting today? That is what we want to discuss this evening. Who is pushing Somalia to become a satellite state in East Africa? Is Somalia a satellite state? 1991, a coup took place. Siad Barre was overthrown. Instigation of Americans who told Siad Barre that you need devolution. And the seven of other factors. General Siare, Pan-African man, a man who helped Pan-Africanism to mold African Union and Organization of African Unity. A man who helped to make sure that apartheid in South Africa goes away. A man who resettled many refugees, South African refugees who went and used Somali passports to go away from apartheid regime. A man who wanted peace in the region. A man who stood by the principles of African Union, Organization of African Unity, the OAU. The man himself who loved this continent was overthrown in a coup in 1991. Thereafter, from 1991, the Americans tried to wrestle with Islamic courts, with so many bandits, with people who had taken up arms. They left hurriedly without looking back. They have never looked back. They have never come back to finish the mission they came for in Somalia. They left us Somalia a burden of pacifying Somalia. They left the burden of pacifying Somalia to the people of East Africa, to the neighbors, to Uganda, Burundi, the first armies that entered Somalia. My country itself, where I come from, where I was born, took a big burden to enter Somalia and tried to pacify Somalia, followed by Burundi until AMISOM was formed. The Islamic courts ruled shortly in Somalia. There was some semblance, and I want to give a credit where it is due. I love Sharif Ahmed Sharif. Wherever you were watching, because I tagged you to watch, you have the vision for Africa. You had a vision for Somalia. You had a vision for East Africa. You had a vision for the integration of Africa. God bless you. I give you credit where it is due. There might have been lots of shortcomings, but Islamic courts brought some semblance of a state being governed, whether the law was not in favor of those who don't want Islamic courts. It still maintained the positive bite that Africans wanted. There was some peace in Somalia. Ethiopians came. They tried to sweep out Islamic courts. The Islamic courts swept out Ethiopians from all these places in Mogadishu, Balidoa. And later on, a transitional government of Somalia was formed. AMISOM came into existence. The rest is very historical and long, which we cannot finish within the 45 minutes to 1 hour that we have. Coming back to what it is, everybody abandoned Somalia. As Somalia was abandoned for the kill, Somalia was abandoned for people to slaughter each other the way they wanted. And as I've told you, satellite state began. Uganda maintained her presence and said no way. People wanted Uganda to withdraw from Somalia. We know them. The radicals in Mogadishu, some of them are there, including Famijo, and including Zakaria, one of the most notorious men, Zakaria, still in Mogadishu. He's one of those who does not want any foreign troops stationed in Somalia to finish the job, pacify Somalia, bring it to the level where Somalia can be a state where everybody can walk in, tourism can flourish, development can take place, and develop the area interior. He has had resentment against Ugandan troops and the Burundian troops. He has written statements that I have a heap of them. I've researched, and I'm sure he's watching this program. He has refused to accept that the gallant sons of Uganda, Burundi, now Kenya, Ethiopia, played a pivotal role in making sure that Somalia stands where it is today. After that, the usual game of imperial mercantile capitalism has risen in Somalia. Mercantile capitalism is one of the most dangerous factors that every person on the African continent must watch out for. Mercantile capitalism brought us the Biafran War. Total Oil and the Shell BP brought us what we saw in Enugu, what we saw between General Yakubu Gowon and the Biafran leader who actually fought tirelessly to defend his people who were butchered in 1966, from 65 up to 67. General Ojukwu, or Kano Ojukwu, or whatever you call at that rank, he stood his ground because of mercantile capitalism. Most of the people in the world don't know the history, that it is only mercantile capitalism that made Captain Lugard to arrive in Uganda. And this mercantile capitalism is a doctrine. It is a doctrine that is put, embedded within the international Western powers. France has taken up the mercantile capitalistic approach when dealing with African countries. Many of you might not know, 3/4 of French colonies are at war. Bamako, Mali, Mauritania, let's mention, calm down, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Central African Republic. Let's go, look at them. All of them are at war. Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, look at them. They are at war because they have maintained what we call mercantile capitalism that has killed, that has maimed this African continent. It is with that sadness today that I tell you that mercantile capitalism has now emerged in Somalian issue. Somalia has become a satellite state to be used to export, to import a war in the region. If you go behind the scam between ICJ, those who want Somalia to stay in ICJ, and I'm going to be frank because my programs are always frank. I have no regrets. If you are hurt by my mentioning your name, so be it. But I will mention frankly, I've now mentioned Zakaria. The second person in Mogadishu, who is a hardliner, who's bringing a satellite state, is called Hassan Harie. the third person in Mogadishu who's causing all the mess that we have in East Africa and in Somalia, when we pacified Somalia, started pacifying Somalia, is Famajo. I'll tell you the reasons of each of them. But first, let me tell you the reasons of those who are making Somalia a satellite state. They want oil, they want gas, they want minerals, uranium, they want all what fishing rights. Remember, Norway is one of the fishing countries in the entire world. Norwegian trawlers come to take fish on a daily basis, violating international regulations on fishing nets. They are carrying fish out of the waters of Somalia, the cool waters of Kismayo and the cool waters of the Horn of Africa. As you see from the geological survey, the Horn of Africa is in a low and quiet place where fish can breed. In Europe, they observe the nets, the hole, the inches that can be used so that you don't deplete the fish. In Africa, they carry it. They do it as it is. They destroy. They leave nothing. If you look at the struggle for Somalia now, making Somalia a satellite state, country number one, Norway. Why Norway? Norway is linked to a faction within the government of Somalia. How? Point by point. Norway is linked to the Prime Minister of Somalia, Hassan Harie. Hassan Harie, a Norwegian citizen who has not renounced his citizenship, leads Somalians, leads Somali and the Somalis in signing a pact with Soma Oil and a petroleum gas holding company. Harie violated all international norms of selling a part of Somalia or anything coming out of Somalia when Somalia was under sanctions. I am giving this background so that people know why is this case not brought to African Union, but it has been taken to the ICJ. That's point number one. The Prime Minister of Somalia, who is the beneficiary of all the money that was got out of Soma gas, Soma oil and gas holdings, is still now the Prime Minister of Somalia. Now you should know why he is struggling so hard for the International Court of Justice to rule in favor of Somalia. Point number two, another leader of satellite state, President Famajo, himself a very good Republican, a servant of the George Bush administration, grew up, worked in Texas with Texan. If you look at the conflict of Somalia, it will all end up with one company from Texas. And that company is going to claim all the oil, all the reserves, all the gas, everything around this disputed enclave. Kenyans should know this. And I believe most of you watching right now will understand that I'm leaving no stone unturned. And I want you to take your pens and get them very ready. I'm coming yet. That's country number one. Country number two was number one, Norway. Number two, America. United States of America is closely monitoring the oil, the gas findings of that enclave. It has given powers to the Habashir to even buy an embassy. When you go and launder money, even $10 in America, you will be arrested. But they carried hard cash and bought an embassy. I don't want to tell you how much commission Mr. Famajo got, but it's up to Somalis to understand that Mr. Famajo took some money. It was paid cash, and that is country number two. Country number 3, which is making Somalia a satellite state, France. When France left South Sudan, packed their goods, left unceremoniously, went to the international agencies and the newspapers and announced that they have not found what they wanted in South Sudan. After making Riek Machar and the Salva Kiir kill each other, they said, we are saying goodbye. They came up in Kenya. They were looking for a very serious asset called oil. Total Oil, the same company that created the Biafran War, the same company that made Biafrans die in millions with Shell BP, the same companies that have made Nigeria look like a country that is in hell, but not in heaven. And never will it reach heaven. A country with oil, with no petrol stations, with empty petrol stations, cars a queue as 20 miles. A country where the people live with poverty. A country where the environment is degraded because of the two companies. Mercantile capitalism. Remember, the key figure, the key line around there is mercantile capitalism. Let's switch on, come. Here we are, France. We leave South Sudan. We come to Kenya asking for Ngamia 1, Ngamia 2, Ngamia 3. Let's buy Taru oil. Let's give you money. Taru oil says no. Where did France arrive? I want to tell you how France has entered Somalia. Through Qatar. And take it very seriously. Some people in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs do less research. Take your pens today. Through Qatar, France arrived in Somalia. What has happened since it arrived? They chased United Arab Emirates away. They chased Turkey away. They chased UN envoys. 2 of them, Mr. Famijo sacked them, gave them 24 hours to leave because a new master, a new mercantile capitalist master had arrived to make Somalia a satellite state. Quietly, while this was happening, France was busy with the former president of ICJ. In 2014, when this case resurrected, when this case was taken in the ICJ, who was the president of the ICJ? A gentleman from France. Who was the deputy president of ICJ? The so-called Abdelraqui Yusuf. A man himself, an advisor of Famijo, a man who wrote the maritime law, a man whose father is a chief advisor of Famijo, runs the court called ICJ. When the Frenchman, through their strings, left the seat, allowed Mr. Abdelraqui Yusuf to take over as the president and the presiding judge of this obnoxious, opaque court of the United Nations that was formed after 1945, the Second World War. Which court is this that cannot change? Which court is this that cannot modify itself? Which court is this that does not have a lower chamber or an upper chamber? Which court is this that we don't know how a decision is reached to? Let's leave that for another day because this program is going to bring a lot of... These are all the diplomatic leaks that we are surrendering to you. So that the people in Kenya must know it is never as usual. If you sit down, you Kenyans, this thing is going and we have a problem because countries have surrounded us. Country number 3, that's now 4 countries. Qatar, France. France, the French cannot buy. But Qatar can buy on behalf of France. And that is what happened. Today, as we speak, the best friend of the people of Somalia is Qatar. But Qatar is not doing its own bidding. Qatar is doing a bidding for the Total oil, because Qatar has no capability to drill the oil, to drill anything. It also employs other companies. Total oil did not come in fully, but allowed Qatar to buy whatever they want, to build a new port, to come and convince even Kenya to give them a gas. But this is an extension of the French Total oil. If you look at the transfers of money, the money from Qatar to Paris to Qatar, who is buying, who is building, the money is drawn from the banks in Paris. Why not Qatar? Why not Dubai? Why is it not picking the money from Qatar? And yet the money is coming from Paris. If you look at the money that is paying for Somalia to be in ICJ, where are they getting the money? In Paris. Why should Norway use an account in Paris to pay for the legal fees of the Somali advocates and the lawyers and the bed sitters who are going hangers on, who carry the briefcases of whoever is going there, ministers? Why? Anybody in international relations should check that. Why? The interests are kept in George Soros' bank in Paris. So when you look at all this, you come back to a very serious question. Who is pushing Somalia? Who is making Somalia a satellite state in Africa? Look at that. Don't go away. Let's take a briefer and let's bring a few of some of the things as we wait. Just 1 minute. Come back. Pick your pen. There is more to come. Now we want to reveal the people behind the hardliners who want to punish Kenya. The hardliners who want to get Kenya and the KDF and the AMISOM out. Don't go away. Look at that. It's coming. Conflicts in Africa have become the daily occurrence. Daily occurrences in many countries, in the sense that almost every African country, apart from the few, there is tension. One wonders where this tension at times comes from. Some of it comes from elections, a manufactured election, a disputed election results. Some come from territory. Some are terrorist-based, like that of Somalia and Boko Haram. Some are because of regime change, purely sponsored by external forces. But 95 to 96% of conflicts in Africa occur through the sponsorship of external darker forces that would like to benefit out of the spoils of war. George Soros stands as one person who has always been and will always be and shall be until the end, a man who sponsors any type of chaos, who does not follow which type of chaos he is sponsoring, as long as it is chaos that can topple a person he hates in Africa. Many African countries are undergoing this pressure, this tension, especially those that are conducting elections and whose timetable for elections seem to be coming in the near future. As a result of that, Africa stands warned, and Africa must stand on alert about the external forces that want to dismember this continent and create heavens of war, create insecurity, create mirage peace that Africans have fought after 66 years of gaining political independence. It is therefore my
submission that most African countries, if they don't look at what George Soros is doing, we might have a shocker one morning, one by one, African country being pushed out and the leaders being pushed out of power. The events, therefore, in South Africa, as proved from this detailed undercover operations, they prove that George Soros indeed has a say in South African politics. And therefore, we want to urge Africans and African heads of state and their military and intelligence systems to be careful and watch on the amount of money that is being pumped into their economies, because some of the money could be George Soros money that will end up to bring public disorder in most of the African countries. Thank you very much, viewers.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to our second segment. Before we parted in the first segment, we were telling you how mercantile capitalism has cropped in to make Somalia a satellite state in this great part of East and Central Africa and of this nation of Great Lakes region. It is so sad that people want to make Africa a borderless country. People in Africa want Africa integrated. It is sad that today Somalia wants to see a border. Yet we are looking for passport on African Union passport. It is sad that today the leaders, because they have been bought already, they have been paid. Hassan Harriet, the prime minister, sold these blocks even when he didn't know that there was oil. He doesn't know how much oil is there. He doesn't care about the Somali people. This segment is going to look at one serious thing. Who are the people behind the push for the route of ICJ? There are people who might think what we are talking about, it is better to talk about it to stop war. We can't afford to have a neighbor that you are quarreling with all the time. We are going to live with Somalis for a long time. Kenya will live with Somalia for a long time. A ruling in the ICJ will bring chaos for this region. A ruling in the ICJ, whichever way it goes, I want people to understand me. And let them understand me from this point of view. A ruling in the ICJ will disrupt this region forever. Because it will hurt the parties. There is no party that is going to accept that ruling. How can Kenya accept the ruling when you have a Somali judge very closely knitted to the government of Somalia? The man himself, during the UN hours when he was working, was writing maritime law. How can such a man preside over a ruling that Kenya is taking part? That's one point. Second point, Somalia needs Kenya just as Kenya wants a good neighbor. AMISOM, Ugandan troops, I am speaking as a Ugandan, and I'm entitled to protect those younger men. If you make a ruling, Somali nationalism will rise and destroy these countries. They will demand the removal of KDF. They will demand the removal of Ugandan troops, even when the timetable that the UN has put there is not come to that date. That is a problem. We saw it on Islamic courts when Somali nationalism turned on the Ethiopians. They left even half of their lives. They ran with half. That is historical, is a fact. So if you make a ruling in the ICJ, it will affect AMISOM operations. 3, if we waste time over borders, if we start to demarcate the borders in Indian Ocean, can you imagine how Africa will look like? How Africa is going to look like? Anybody out there with a brain can tell me. Those without brains or whose brains are derailed, like the comments that I see here, you are welcome. But you will not stop me from educating you, because you have been infected by mercantile capitalism. Qatar is a surrogate of France. Qatar is buying Somalia. Qatar chased away United Arab Emirates. They don't work. They don't see eye to eye. They have now come in Somalia, and the Somali government has told United Arab Emirates, which did a very great job in stabilization of Somalia in terms of institutions and infrastructures. And he has told them, you leave our country. Turkey, that has done incredible work, has been told, we don't want to see you here. Now tell me ye, where are we standing as Africans? When shall we end this satellite syndrome, where countries in Africa are bought, where we sell our own countries, where we sell even products that we have never known? We don't know whether they do exist. The mission of the Prime Minister of Somalia, the docket of which has been opened now in London, in the Serious Fraud Office, to inquire how he was able to organize, fund, equip, supply a conference with money from the trading on the index or the stock exchange when was under UN sanctions, is what the new serious fraud officers are looking for. At that time, you might have had Howard covering you, Mr. Prime Minister, but now Howard is not there. He's also going to be investigated. So wherever you are sitting in Mogadishu, don't think it is pretty. People are working, and we shall bring you to justice. We don't know where the money went, how you spent it. It might have ended to Al-Shabaab, which kills people, even British nationals. So that is a case. It is a case before the British authorities to check whether any of those banks violated the United Nations Security Council resolution on Somalia. And they look at my eyes, it's me. I've placed it to the docket with facts, not fiction. If you have the brain, start working and get your statement ready. Because at that time, you covered yourself and Lord Howard. But this time, Lord Howard is not there. He is a commoner like any other British, except he has got a title Lord. But he will be found out. You will have to explain every penny that you took. And if you have been thinking that it is a rose matter, encourage the government to go to ICJ. You have another thing coming, sir. These Somalis should know that all these things, the fight that is there right now, is a fight where people have already sold you. Some of us are trying to rescue you from being sold. You have been sold. Your oil has been taken. Abdul Salam Ahmed is the Lord. He's the one who bought the oil fuel. I didn't buy any fuel. Thank you for your comments coming in. I can see them coming in thick and thin and thick. That's very good. Let's have a debate. So when you look at the mercantile, the arrival of mercantile capitalism, these companies now have settled. Don't forget the Americans are playing a very good card. They now want Mr. Famijo, a Republican by nature, by bringing in the United States. If you look at his offsprings in the United States, his hubby, all his people, the associates, those who welcomed him when he went to New York. We have all recordings, everything he was doing in New York, the people he met. These are people who actually forced him, took him to these deals with a company in Texas that has interest in that oil, in the fuel and the gas and whatever it is in the Indian Ocean. So that is the danger we have. If this is the situation, where do we go from here? Where does Africa go from here? Where does Africa stand from here? How do we manage our affairs as Africans? Why have we chosen to go the route of ICJ? Isn't Somalia a state? Won't they have a feeling if a Somali judge is presiding over their own case and the father of the judge is an advisor to Famijo? Don't you have conscience to step aside? Mr. Yusuf, Judge Yusuf, I don't need to file all those things that I've filed against you. Your children, your wife, I've done so many things in confidence delivered to the court. We don't want this to be spread to the public of your public life. What do you do when you come to Brussels? I don't want to follow those things. Because my network in Paris, Network 24, the toughest investigators are on your case. I am an African. I don't want to do that. I just want to request you to step aside. Leave the judgment to other people. Because there is a problem here. Interests. You are Somali. Why do you stick in the seat when you are Somali to make a judgment? The judge is not competent. He can't be competent when he's a Somali and you are publicly. What do you do every Friday in Brussels? I don't want to bring it here because I respect you. Because on Monday next week, they have said I should come for oral exchange with the registrar. I will be there. I will be there to table more of this evidence to convince the other judges, the 4 judges who have refused, the one who are dilly-dallying, will be convinced. I'm not a talking shop. I've filed my complaints. They are genuine. They are in your system. The videos and everything show what you have been doing. On Monday, I'm adding more. I want you, why do you drive all the way from The Hague to Brussels? What do you do in Brussels in that place that you know, you and me? Just get out before I come, before I table this to the public. Because the documents are confidential. It is not a joke. We have done it. We are not a state. And we are not a state. It is up to Kenya to pick up the complaints that are already in the court. It is up to the Attorney General and the government of Republic of Kenya, not me. I don't work for the government of Kenya. I don't. I work for Pan-African Forum and the Deterrent Formula Group. If you touch us, we go there. We are there. We have made our complaints. I've not seen any. I am happy that I saw a letter from Famijo quietly saying, asking Yusuf to get out. Thank you. You are now reasoning. You are now reasoning. Had I not said this, how would you do it? Don't you feel ashamed that a Somali man is going to preside over a dispute where he has interests? Shall we celebrate as Africans? That's why we wanted this thing to come back to the constitutive African Union laws. We sit down and do what we can do and what we have done in the Abyei Peninsula. There are those who think that I don't give solutions. I do. When I start on something, I don't give up. And those who think I will give up when I've defeated Famijo. I have not gone into, remember Famijo, I have 96 MPs. 96 MPs in your parliament. The ones I helped to fill forms in Britain when they came as refugees, 96 of them. And they will vote you out. Don't take me to that step. I will do it. Look at my eyes. Not Kenya, not what. Those 96, I am still accumulating the number. If you thought it's a joke, it's not. These are the boys I helped in Streatham, Croydon, West Ham. When they arrived in 1991, 92, I was already in that country, greatest country. As helped them to learn English. They are there. Don't think you are on your own. They are there. And then they will come for you. They are seeing the danger. 96, I need a few of them. So, Mr. Famijo, instead of telling me the names that I don't want to repeat because children might be watching the television now, you said so many bad names on me, but I forgive you. I will meet you at the African Union, I will ask you. But I was only telling you the situation of ICJ will hurt Africa. Let's come back to table. Let's talk about this. If there are resources, let's all of us try to see how best we can resolve, share them. You don't have the capability, you are being bought to bring the capability. Can you put your resources together, Kenya and Somalia, to live longer? We want to take this opportunity, therefore, to tell the place the truth. There is nothing that can stop reggae. You can't close the crime docket in serious fraud office, Mr. Hassan Harrier. You can't stop your connections with the American oil company that is paying your fees. Who is paying your fees? Tell Somali parliament to pass a budget of paying the fees for the lawyers. If you think I'm telling a lie, I'm not. Because somebody is paying the fees. And that somebody, we know him. We know them. What they want is enmity between Kenya and Somalia. So that when they leave us fighting, they will now go underground with submarines and take the oil. While we are fighting on top of the water. We know it. We have lived as brothers. Let's look at this. Let's not quarrel. Let's come back and unite, sit on table. Let's see whether we can be able to fight other forces that are coming to kill ordinary Somalis. At the end of the day, ordinary Somalis are dying. They are dying as we speak. They are dying. They need help. And we are giving the help. You can't say I am a stranger from Venice. My brothers and sisters from the clan where I come from in my district I have over 120 people in the UPDF who are in Somalia keeping peace every day. I have a right to talk about their role, and when they perish, I will look after those children. If I perish, they look after my children. They are needed for a future generation. I have a right to speak about it. Those who think I have no right, I'm a Kenyan. I'm not a Kenyan. I'm a Ugandan, but I'm an East African. And I'm African. I don't have a boundary. I'm a global citizen who is able to talk about this. If Kenya has kept quiet and has not seen this, I don't work for them. I speak my mind. I am investigating. How did I know how Mr. Yusuf, Judge Yusuf, goes to a house in Brussels? What do you do there every Friday? I do it myself. Yes, we don't want to bring this to the public. It is up to you to see your public conscience and step out of this. I used to tell Ocampo of ICC that you are a useless man, Mr. Ocampo. Ocampo kept on telling me I was a wrong, stupid man. Where is Ocampo today? Where is Ocampo today? Where is he? He can't even get a job to be a sweeper. You can't. I can't start exposing Mr. Famijo's family problems here, the accounts, the transfers of money. I don't want, because I'm an African. I also have integrity as an African, not to wash every dirty linen. That's why I'm appealing to Famijo. Don't be brought in by Mr. Hassan Halie. He's already eaten money and he has a problem to explain it. And that is it. Come back to table. Yes. That's my decision. And I want to thank all of you this evening to tell you that's the story of diplomatic leaks. You know, when it is a leak and a leakage, you don't say beyond what you don't know. That's why WikiLeaks landed in trouble. You don't touch security matters of international agencies. You say as an investigative journalist. That's what I've got. I got more. Judge Yusuf, stop going to Brussels because we know what you do there. That's it. It's up to you. It is up to international community to see the truth. That's the truth. And that's what I've said. If Somalis are annoyed, it's up to you. But me, I've told you what I have got. That's the truth. There is no need of a ruling in ICJ. And by the way, let me now come to Kenya. A normal person in Kenya should pick a paper. Should pick a paper and write 4 paragraphs. 4. I'm now telling the truth because I'm fed up of telling people who don't listen. Write 4 paragraphs. You are not coming. Reason is 1. Subpoena the complaints. Subpoena the complaints as a state. Take over my complaints. I have done my best. Subpoena the complaints. You can't hand yourself to a slaughterhouse with your hands tied when that judge, who is a very good partner, a brother-in-law, a this of this man, of these men who have even want to cover up. I've told you what is coming in the serious fraud office will even shock the world. Believe me or not, Kenya don't. 4 paragraphs. Sorry, we are not coming. This is not a criminal court. And for me, I speak the truth. I used to tell people in ICC, it's fake. The evidence was fake. This is also a fake court. And Abdalakwi Yusuf is fake. How he acquired that seat to become the presiding judge is through the French who have come to buy the fuel. It's fake. Just pick a pen and tell them it's not a criminal offense not to, they will not give you a warrant not to go. Why are you going to a court which is already made a judgment? Why do you go there? Why do you waste taxpayers' money in this country to go there? To go and do what? To do what? This money can build clinics here. Let them stay with their case and make their judgment. Eat it. Give it to a lawless state to govern a border. A lawless state governing a border. You see, a lawless state governing a border. You just picture is a Rambo style of state where terrorists are entering from Yemen into a lawless state. You give them all the border to govern. I just leave it to you. I have nothing much to say. I want to take this opportunity for all the comments. I will try to. Thank you very much. Educated them. A country that doesn't even have a federal bank to have money is sarcastic. They live on Wahara. It's called Wahara. Oh, what is it? Wahara? Is it the banks they use? And then AMISOM are free there for money. What is the problem with Mr. Kenya? Why did you, I don't know, Ahmed Abdullahi, you are saying stealing money from where? Was money me or someone else has stolen money? You see, someone is saying my English is poor because for you, Somali, you went to read English. The rest you didn't go to read peace. That's why my English remains a Ugandan English. I went there to read both English and peace in my heart. Famajo, why did Famajo call me kafir? I don't know. Famajo himself is a statesman, and I had to bear with it. I know what it is, and we shall find time. Ahmed Abdullahi, I worked for Sky News, and in 2008, I was the senior African consultant for Sky News. I went to Zimbabwe, interviewed the late Mugabe. I left with honors. Was paid very well. But when I heard of the ICC in Kenya, they cancelled my contract because I took part in exposing OTP 4, witness number 4. So I could not work anymore, sir. So there you are. I wasn't. My contract was cancelled. I haven't gone to the extent of asking why Famajo was selling cheese. At least, Abdul Salam Hamid, you know me, my stand is very clear that I have never sold cheese. You have left your Pan-Africans these days. No, Abdul Halai Ali, this thing, if we don't come in and talk like this, our friends are going to fight. We live with Somali. We are married in Uganda. Somalis have married us. We have also married them. In Kenya, they have married us. We have married them. Why do we want to go there? Because Famajo is bought by a man from Texas. Why do we go there? Because this smaller place called Norway with fish, smaller country with a population of 4 million, buying Hassan Hari. The banks in Somalia are called Hawala. Yeah. So a country with a Hawala can buy a building in New York. You can see where we are going. So there you are. I'm just that. I have told you, if I were Kenya as a state, I pick a pen and write 4 paragraphs. Subpoena. The word in the law is called subpoena the complaints. As a state, take over my complaints. They are serious, genuine. And that's it. He's called Harry. I don't know. How do you want me to pronounce? He's called Harry. Man, I am not going to leave until you come back to table. Yes, most of you are talking from, you know where you are talking from, Canada. You have just woken up still eating sausages. So it is up to you. We are looking at a practical solution on the Somali Peninsula. We want to cure the problem now. We don't want war. We want peace in this region. In fact, Abdallah Halai, in Uganda, Somalis are the best. The richest Ugandan is a Somali. Are you not proud of that? A Ugandan whom you are insulting here has given one of the richest Somali. The best person, my good friend, is a Somali. I'm not talking anything bad. I'm telling you the truth. Let's come on table. We have a caller here, I think. Caller? Yes. I'm coming. This person is not a caller. It's from Mogadishu, but the phone can't go through. Thank you very much. Caller from Mogadishu, try again. It looks like today we have rattled. Stephen should have given me the highest so far. Thank you very much. Abdul Salam Abid Ahmed said, I am a honest man. Thank you very much. Kenya and Somalia are brothers. Please come back home. Come back home. Don't insult me from Canada. Come back home and talk to Kenya. Talk to President Uhuru. We want President Famijo and Uhuru to talk. There are no problems between us. But these mercantile capitalists who came, the ones I've explained to you, they are the ones who want to benefit from our resources. These resources are African resources. We can share them without fighting. We can use them to develop Africa without fighting. Siad Barre helped Africa to liberate itself. Somalia, nobody treats you badly except South Africa, where they treat you so badly. Why can't you see that? Why should we fight, we East Africans, yet we are in the same bowl? I have a caller here from London. Hello? Yes. Make your comments short. Yeah, make your comments. Museveni. First of all, say your name first. Oh, Abdi Salam. Fine, thank you, my brother. I want you to take this message. I want you to take this message to.
Our message is clear.
Yes.
We try to solve this problem with and we don't want this issue to be escalated, go a bit farther and farther. We try to solve with the Kenyan, but Kenyan, they don't want to be solved. The African, they try to them, but the Kenyan, they are not willing to solve this problem. But they want to take our sea, but we cannot accept that. Kenya is our neighbor, our brothers, our sisters. We love them. They love us. We have big business. But this sea, the maritime, this dispute for the sea is belonging to Somalia. We know this. Kenya knows, Uganda knows, Africa knows. But we should not be going this way. This is kind of African problem.
Yes.
We try to in Africa, but Kenya, they are not willing to. That's why we went to the court, not the Farmacho.
Okay.
Before Farmacho, the issue within the court.
What would you like to tell Kenya now? Your own phone.
Yeah, the Kenya should say, listen, we want to, because look, Kenya, they don't want to peace.
But Kenya has said you sit down and talk. Your president does not want. What do you want to tell President Famijo? He's African like us.
No. Kenya, they don't want to talk. We tried that way, but it failed. But Kenya, they're telling us, oh, this sea belongs to the Kenya. We say to them, no. Because this issue starts now, because we haven't got problem with this in the sea dispute before.
Yes.
But the Kenya, they want to peace. They want to take our land. They want to take Kismayo. They want to take all Jubaland states. That's the plan for the Kenya. And that's why Farmacho is not accepting to give any bit of Somaliland or Somali Sea. But still we want to come to the African, I want to come here and to talk to Kenya and say, live to Somaliland, because Somalia, they have big land. We can give them. If they ask us, give us something, we're happy to give to them. But they cannot.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any other message you want to give to what about your Prime Minister, who there is a serious, it's good you are calling from London, there is a serious review of the docket of Soma Oil. What do you think happened to the money that he got out before the stop of selling of these blocks?
No, because this blocks have been sold to Europeans and Americans, and we already get the deal, and Kenya has to accept that. They can do nothing. This is a big issue, and the Britain got a contract with them. Norway, they got contract. American, they got same contract to dig this oil from Somali Sea. So the Kenya, they cannot do nothing. They know Kenya used to be friend with the British government, not anymore, because Kenya, they going wrong way. Okay. So my message, Kenya, is to stop what you're doing and leave Somalia alone. That's our message. And our brothers in African countries if they want to and come and see the issue, we're happy to talk to them.
Okay.
We want to come Uganda, we want to come
you are welcome. You are welcome in Kenya. You are welcome in Uganda. You are welcome in Kenya. We are welcome in Mogadishu. That is the spirit we are interested in. I am happy. And when I come to London, I have seen your number. I will call you and we have coffee.
Yes.
And we sit down. I will convince you
there is something wrong. We Africans should not be quarreling. No. Why are we quarreling?
You know that Kenya, they are not willing that way. Well, we want to come to Uganda now. If the Kenya want to come to Uganda, we're happy to talk this issue in Uganda, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, everywhere in Africa. Or come to Mogadishu. We're happy all African countries come to Mogadishu. We talk this maritime dispute and we discussed them. But the Kenya, they want to negotiate. They don't want solution. They want to take our sea. That's why we want to court.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, brother from London. Thank you very much for watching. All the time, keep on watching this television station. It is the only one in Africa that talks the truth.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And God bless Africa.
Yes, I have got your number, and I'm going to make sure that I look for you when I arrive London. Remember, I'm going to meet the registrar of the court. You know, I have gone far. I want to meet you, and you and I, we go together. And then they will see there is unity.
But unity, but we can't give away our land or our sea. But we're happy to talk.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Gwen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep the weather. It is becoming cold in London a bit. Soon you will be going to winter. You need to return home.
Yeah, we're coming. We're already there. We're coming.
Okay, thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you very much. That is a caller from London. Thank you very much for your contribution. And many of them are coming in to kind of belong to Somalia. Yeah. Okay, who is talking for? Whom Abdul Salam is talking for himself. He rang all the way from London, and his number is here. He's not talking for me. He's saying the truth. He is saying, let's talk as Africans. Why do we want to kill each other over the things that we found on planet Earth? Surely. Thank you very much. And it is up to you now to make your judgment. I have done my level best. This video of diplomatic leaks, that is a great show. Mark it, diplomatic leaks. Tomorrow, at the same time, we are here. Masanga, Africa Perspective. Thursday, we are here. The Punch. That's the change. That's the new direction. If you have any topic that you want us to discuss, wherever you are in Canada, feeling for home, talk to us. Give us the topic. Always contribute. Send more text. Thank you very much, all of you who have said all what they have said. That is democracy, and I am happy that you took a stand to talk to me in that way. I am a very happy person that whatever comments you have made here, you have made will build this station and build us. This station, therefore, is for Africa, by Africa. But before I go, I have just received a text, a WhatsApp from Zimbabwe, and the Zimbabweans have asked me to talk tomorrow about Zimbabwe. So tomorrow, we shall dissect the dynamics, the George Soros regime change tactics deployed by Americans on the sanctions against Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, viewers. This station is for Africa, by Africa, with Africa. Ciao.
peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.